Now here's a bit of culture shock for you. I get to see this every day if I choose to. It's not that far from where I live, like maybe an eighth or a quarter of a mile as a crow flies. Anyway, I just stopped and took this video because I thought you might find this interesting. Anyway, many foreigners have a lot of misconceptions about the Philippines, especially those who have never been here. I always find it shocking how vocal they are about it. It's almost like they're angry or something. I call them the never been here experts. It doesn't make sense why they do that. I had my share buzzing in my ear before I got here. It's like they're trying to save us from ruin and they have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. And I mean none. And I'm sure if you're talking to people about coming to the Philippines, you're having the same experience as I had. And they probably couldn't even tell you the name of a single island. Most of this comes from stereotypes or generalizations heard from a friend who heard it from a friend 40 years ago. In this video, I'll be addressing the main misconception and stereotypes that show up in the comments on my videos or concerns that people have who've heard about something on YouTube. I have lived here 2.5 years, and these are my personal experiences, not something I've heard on any other channels. A lot of people will have different opinions from different areas that they live in the Philippines. Well, that's like somebody from California having a different experience than somebody from Oklahoma. It's just different. In my videos, if you've watched me very long, you know that I always talk in the first person because these are my experiences, not something I saw on another channel or read in a book somewhere. Now, their experiences may be true, but it's not my experiences, so I don't portray that on my channel. One of the most common beliefs is that the weather in the Philippines is always hot and humid. Well, it is true the Philippines has a tropical climate, which means it tends to be warm. The temperature can vary quite a bit. The different regions experience different weather patterns. For example, the northern part of the country can get quite cool during the rainy season. Keep in mind the length of the Philippines is the same length as going from Los Angeles, California to Seattle, Washington. That's 1,150 miles north to south. Here's a fun fact for you. In America, 26 states have humidity between 80 and 85%. Now, right now, I just checked, it is 78% humidity, it's 86 degrees, and 7 miles an hour wind. Now, it was hotter a few months ago, and I was checking every day. It was around 90 to 92 degrees every day, but the humidity was like 50 to 55, and one day it was like 60. So the hotter the day, the lower humidity, same as it is in San Diego. And the average temperature here is 79 year-round. Now, in those 26 states, it gets much hotter there than it does here. Here, it rarely gets above 100. And in those states, it gets over 100 every year, the summertime. So if you're from Florida or some of those southern states, you're going to love it here. Well, that's what I got on weather. Can't really talk about myths and lies without discussing Philippine women. I generally refuse to talk about women or relationships here. But the subject is a very big misconception, in my opinion. Some guys come to the Philippines with their destination as Walking Street in Angeles City. After a few weeks in the bars every night, paying bar fines, they feel they're experts on Filipino women. In my opinion, they're experts on bar girls. And that's a very, very small percentage of the population here. But if that's all they know, that's all they know. But they certainly love to talk about it. I have two generalizations about Filipinas, and that's not 100%, so trolls, you can stop typing. My experience, most Filipinos have brown hair. My second generalization is most of them have brown eyes. Other than that, like women everywhere in the world, more or less, there are prostitutes in every country. There are modest women also in every country. It's all in varying degrees and depends on where you spent time, and that's going to be your experience. So when the topic does come up in comments, it's pretty obvious who those guys are. Almost every military base in the world has issues with vice in close proximity to the bases, including San Diego, where I'm from. But that does not mean the entire community or country has the same issues. That is truly a very misleading stereotype. But like in any country, you can find what you're looking for. Finally, that all Filipinos want to marry a foreign guy and move to America or Australia or Canada or Germany or wherever. That definitely isn't true. I met a girl here in 2014, and when I started talking about coming to America, moving to America, she said she wouldn't come. I've known quite a few girls, when I mentioned introducing to a foreign friend of mine, they didn't want to have anything to do with it. I think they actually felt a bit insulted that I would feel they should be eager to meet a foreign guy and get married and move off to a foreign country. In America, I can tell you that not every woman wants to marry a rock star either. And I'm just going to leave that there. Next is crime. You know, in one of my last videos, I talked about crime, comparing it to the United States and how there's almost no crime here. Now, one guy, I think he's never been here, but he claimed to be an expert in how he had almost gotten pickpocketed 3 times. Vatican City has a pickpocket problem, for Christ's sake. I'm not joking. You know, I lost track of how many times I've been warned about being kidnapped in the Philippines. There's 114 million people here in the Philippines, and there was 20, that's 20 kidnappings, according to the Philippine National Police in 2023. And most of those were Chinese nationals. In the United States, there were 4,472 kidnappings not related to children. Now, I did a lot of research just so that I could reply to these comments accurately. America has roughly 3 times the population of the Philippines. Now, in the same study, the same line item, the same time period, America had 11,880 crimes compared to the Philippines' 85,776 crimes. Now, when I do my research, I'll go to Google, I'll Google the topic, and I'll take the top 1 or 2, so I'm not just cherry-picking answers that I want to see. Now, that's not to say there's some areas of the Philippines that are unsafe, but everybody knows what they are. So you just stay out of those areas. Same as we do in America. Just common sense, my friends. There's crime all over the world, including the Vatican City. Pickpocketing is the only crime I've been warned about in the Philippines. If pickpocketing is the best you got, I'm all in. Now, in this next part, I'm going to talk about culture, which is a misconception, not so much a lie, it's just that it's not discussed. You know, you've got a lot of vloggers that I listen to, for example, who are in Dumaguete, and that's pretty much their point of view. Now, my point of view is from the province in Baguio, northern Luzon. Now, if you're like me, you have a grand plan that you want to get on to as soon as you get here. And living in the province never even occurred to me. Had no interest in it whatsoever. But here I am, and I love it. Now, if you watch my channel very often, you know that I'm constantly talking about slow traveling when you come here. And the reason for that is because of the differences in culture, for example, and weather too. Before I got here, the idea that culture would be different in different areas never even occurred to me. But why would it be any different than America? Philippines is a large country. I mean, look at the difference between the South and New York, maybe New England and Southern California. How about Hawaii and Alaska? There's 7,000 islands in the Philippines, and 2,000 of them are occupied. And just like in America, with those different locations have different attitudes about life. Different enough to affect the quality of your retirement lifestyle. It occurs to me that so many Americans, when they get here, they want to drop anchor and establish themselves in communities or areas they know nothing about. Like if they're Filipinos going to America, should they go to New York City? Should they go to Alabama? Should they go to Florida, San Diego? I spent 67 years thinking about the American dream. Don't tell me what I wanted. And I was on my way to get it as soon as I was sitting on the tarmac leaving LA. Smarter people have made bigger mistakes. Do you really want to lock yourself in so quickly? Now, the reason that I recommend slow traveling is because you're going to evolve once you get here. It'll happen over time. I wanted the American dream, and at that point, I've been waiting 67 years to get it. I was in a hurry. And all the things that I wanted were material possessions, building a house, getting a car, doing all those things. And now I have freedom. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want to do it, within reason. I have an inexpensive house, and I can just leave. Absorbing the cultures and visiting these places around the Philippines is now my #1 priority, not building and establishing myself somewhere. You know, some people will come to the Philippines, they'll see a mini mansion and they've just got to have it, and they can see that they obviously can afford it, so they lock themselves in this long-term mortgage. Now, in America, we have our cultures based upon material assets, and here it's not. So you buy this house, you're locked in the mortgage, and you start to change and evolve as a human being because you're in a culture which is not materialistically oriented. It just has that effect on you. All of a sudden, you're not quite so happy having all these material possessions and the responsibilities that go with it. Imagine a front runner like myself, coming from America's finest city in Southern California, having a keen eye for the finer things in life, finding happiness as a minimalist. I had never lived in another culture or experienced a Philippine culture for that matter, so how would I know that there was a better way? It's not easy to remain negative in a culture that's so positive. It's no longer easy to derive happiness from material possessions in a society that's non-materialistic. So remember, the culture here can vary widely. Do yourself a favor, have a little fun, take a little time before you put down roots. Well, my friends, that's what I've got for you in this video. Please subscribe if you haven't. Please like the video if you liked it. And you can leave a comment with your thoughts, and I will get back to you.